Is probability, probability distribution, events, sampling, conditional probability, addition and multiplication rules of probability we'll discuss in this discussion. Probability is the measure of likelihood of the occurrence of any phenomena or event. It is usually measured in percentage, but it is expressed in fractions. Probability describes a person's assessment of the likelihood of occurrence of a particular outcome. It has certain familiar properties and is expressed as a number between 0 and 1. 0 indicates an impossible outcome, and 1 indicates that an outcome is certain to occur. Probabilities between 0 and 1 indicate various degrees of likelihood, ranging from very unlikely to very likely. There are two views of probability: objective and subjective. In objective, we discuss about the classical and relative probability. What is classical probability? If an event can occur in n mutually exclusive and equally likely ways, and if m of these possess a trait e, the probability of the m of these possess a trait e, the probability of the occurrence of event e is equal to m divided by n. So probability of e is p into E is equal to m upon n. This theory was developed to solve the problems related to games of chance, like rolling the dice or playing the cards. What is the probability that a dice which is played will play three? Then what is the chance that if we are playing cards, then the king? How many times the king will be there, like this? Okay, so this is an example. If a six-sided die is rolled, the probability that a one will be observed is 1 by 6, right? And is the same for the other five faces. If a card is picked from a well-shuffled deck of ordinary playing cards, what is the probability of picking a heart? So total there are 52 cards and 13 there are hearts in those 52 cards. So it will be 13 upon 52. If a fair six-sided die is tossed, the probability of an even numbered outcome, that is 2, 4 and 6, is half. There of the 6 equally likely outcomes have the trait 3 by 6 is half. Then what is relative probability? If some process is repeated a large number of times, that is n, and if some resulting event e occurs m times, the relative frequency of occurrence of e m upon n will be approximately equal to the probability of e. Subjective probability. This concept does not rely on the repeatability of a process. It applies for events that can happen only once. It depends on personal judgment. For example, the probability that a cure for cancer will be discovered within the next 10 years. Right? What is event? The event E is a set of outcomes which has a certain characteristic. The event or outcome is of many types: mutually exclusive, equally likely outcome, impossible event, and complementary event. So mutually exclusive event, two events are mutually exclusive if they cannot occur simultaneously, such that the events do not overlap. Equally likely outcome are the outcomes that have the same chance of occurring, as the name says. Impossible event, when an event cannot occur, that is, there is no chance of the event occurring, it is said to be an impossible event. So the probability of this event will be 0. Then complementary event. For an event E, the non-occurrence of the event is called its complementary event. There are events that cannot occur at the same time. So when a die is thrown, getting an odd face and an even face are complementary events. Both odd and even face cannot come together. Okay. Then, what are the elementary properties of probability? All events must have a probability greater than or equal to 0. The probability of all the possible events should total to 1. Considering any two mutually exclusive events, the probability of the occurrence of either of them is equal to the sum of the individual probabilities. True? Then what is marginal probability? The probability of an event occurring p times into a, it may be thought of as an unconditional probability. It is not conditioned on another event. For example, the probability that a card drawn is red is 0.5. Another example, the probability that a card drawn is a 4 is 1 divided by 13. What is the multiplicative rule? A probability can be computed from other probabilities for any two events A and B. This is the formula. From this equation, we can find out any one of the three probabilities if the other two are known. What are independent events? If event B has occurred and the probability of A is not affected by the occurrence or non-occurrence of B, we may say that A and B are independent. Then what is the multiplicative rule? Example, in a certain high school, a class consisting of 60 girls and 40 boys, it is considered or observed that 24 girls and 16 boys wear eyeglasses. If a student is picked at random from this class, the probability that the student wears the eyeglasses, is 40 by 100 or 0.4. What is the probability that a student picked at random wears the eyeglasses given that a student is a boy? So we will apply this formula and we'll get 0.4, right? Then the addition rule. If A and B are mutually exclusive, then this formula comes to be 0, and then we'll apply the additional rule. We'll add them. Here's a formula which is described here. We can solve this one. That's it.